the CEO of Inspired Leaders International and the Provincial Fathers Union President for the Church of Uganda. What a pleasure to be having you today on this awesome program. A program that seeks to equip, challenge, but also encourage men to strengthen their family leadership capacity for national transformation. I have a stack of books right here on the table. This one says, Missing from Action, Vanishing Manhood. Missing in action. Today, a number of men are missing in action in the life of their own children. That's why they need to step up. Holding another book saying, Stepping Up, a call to courageous manhood. And if they are going to step up, they need to be able to be the kind of father that they've always wanted to be. Another book I'm holding in my hands, The Father You've Always Wanted to Be. And when that happens, then you will be able to maximize your manhood rightly. Eddie Lewis Cole writes a book called Maximized Manhood. And that starts with you choosing to be a brave dad. Just like John MacArthur writes a book about raising your kids to love and follow their creator. Today, we are focusing on the power of a dad's presence in the life of a child. You know, what matters most is not the presence that you give to your children, but the presence that you bless them with. What matters most is not the presence that you give to your children, but the presence that you bless them with. Today marks the 12th birthday of my daughter Petra Ahumuza Bakutana. Happy birthday. I've been glad to be present in your life, and I spent the whole of today with you. I am so proud of who you are growing into becoming. And to help us unravel this conversation about the power of a dad's presence is none other than the first female to be hosted on this program ever since it started 14 weeks ago. And that is my friend, an inspired leader, the executive director of International Center for Family Care. Somebody I have known for quite some time, a solid lady, sober-minded, deeply rooted, and is going to empower you. Evas Atwine Kansime. Good to have you on set today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Pleasure. How are you doing, Evas?
I'm doing great.
You're doing great.
Great.
That's awesome. I saw some pictures somewhere of your daughters graduating.
Sure.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. What a joy.
What a yes. Joy. They looked so radiant. They looked so happy and joyful in the pictures.
I looked more radiant.
Clearly.
There's not, I just experienced the joy of seeing your child achieve.
Yes.
It's beautiful. Mm-hmm. Beautiful.
So tell us about them. Tell us about who you are, your family, and the work that you do.
Okay. Thank you, Sam.
Welcome.
Thank you for being my friend.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you for believing in me. And it's such a joy for me to be here in these studios. This is my second time here, so I'm home. Mm-hmm. So you've introduced me. What you have missed is that I'm an Alongo.
Yes, go right ahead.
That's a big title.
So for somebody who is watching from Australia, what is that?
That's a mother of twins.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I'm the CEO of International Center for Mental Health and Family Care, an organization with a major focus, a special focus on family strengthening,
yes,
but also on mental health. And you can't talk about family without, you can't talk about mental health without talking about family, because a healthy family is a family with good mental health, stress-free,
yes,
not toxic. You know, and that's the starting point, because we believe that when the family is okay, you're sending healthy people to society.
Yes.
And however much the pressure is on the other side in society, if we are sending healthy people, they can they will be able to cope with the pressures of the world.
Everybody comes from a family.
Everyone comes.
Somebody who goes to governance and politics is coming from a
They are
family.
coming from a family.
Somebody who goes to the sphere of education, from family.
Sure.
Somebody who goes to business and economy is coming from a family.
Absolutely.
Somebody who goes to, you know, those the faith belief systems, religious centers, churches and mosques,
Right.
comes from the family.
They come from the family.
Celebration industry, where we have arts, culture, sports and entertainment, they are coming from a family.
They have been nurtured from the
And
family.
that's why we started this program of leading the family, because we strongly believe, I have this deep conviction, that family is the most fundamental and most important, let me call it the first level, the primary institute for leadership development. If we don't have it there in the family,
Yeah.
we won't have it anywhere in the community.
It is actually the foundation for human formation.
Yes.
So humans are made in the family. And so the humans you see, there's no leadership without family. So all those aspects have started in the family. And so later on in the program, I'm very sure we're going to dive into the
I believe
details
so.
of this. But let's talk about this.
Indeed.
It is, life begins at family level. Now, we make statements out there later on to say, where did this person grow up from?
From a family.
Do you understand? So whenever we see fault lines in
Yes.
human beings,
Yes.
where do we run to? Where did this person grow up from?
Yes.
Now,
Where is he coming from?
I love it in Luganda. They say,
Yakulirawa.
Yakulirawa.
Yes.
Do you hear that? So you can be a big person, you can be a CEO, you can be the way, so the public is for display of the kind of person you have been nurtured from the family.
So in other words, the family is like a crucible. The family is a refinery. The family is a cradle. The family is the source. And then the society is a stage.
It's a stage.
It's a display table, so to speak.
That's
and
right.
it displays what is coming from the source,
It
from
does.
the family, from
Yeah.
the crucible.
Absolutely. And
Amazing.
that's, once again, I just want viewers to pay attention to this. You've had statements, and I strongly believe in this as a champion or as a person at the center of family programming,
Yes.
that where the family goes, there goes the nation. Where the family goes, there goes society. So when you see an uncultured society,
Yes.
it's a reflection of the status
The
of
state of the family.
state of the family. And so when we, all these issues we trying to address at the display table,
We would rather go back
we
to the
would rather
refinery.
go back to the, and honestly, we would rather go back to the roots. We would
Yes.
let's go back. Let's go back.
And that place where we are calling the roots,
Yeah.
it has a government. That place has a government.
It does.
There is governance there.
Absolutely.
There is a leader of that place.
That's right.
And that's the one for whom this program was put in place.
Well done.
This is a leadership program. In your view, generally speaking, what would you say leadership is?
Well, for me, leadership is about guidance. If you ask me for a synonym
Yes.
for leadership, I would give you guidance.
Guidance.
Because for every group a group of humans, there needs to be guidance. There needs to be direction.
Yes.
So when you
Direction.
talk about leadership, we're talking about someone who provides direction and guidance.
So who guides people to
Who
a certain
guides
direction?
people to a certain direction. That's how I would talk about, and it's as simple
Yeah.
as it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you know that leadership is God's concept. He knew that human nature needs leadership.
Yes.
You know scripture, you know that when his people had not gotten a physical leader, he was their leader, but at a certain point he provided, because there shouldn't be any gap.
Yes.
There should be someone to provide that kind of strategic direction. someone to guide people towards a certain goal.
Yes.
So for me, that's leadership.
That's the leader.
That's it.
So now we are talking about this program being called the Inspired Family Leader. Now that we know who the leader is, now that we know what leadership is, guidance and direction, let's add the word family.
Yeah.
What would you say family leadership therefore is?
So we go back to what we started with.
Yes.
So family is an organization. It's the very first unit of organization. And it's a starting point of human nature.
Yes.
And so there is a structure, there is a leadership structure. And again, this is divine, this is God determined that a family shouldn't just be there and everyone is a leader. I love what one of the preachers was talking about and said, a family that has two leaders is like something with two heads. And anything with two heads is a monster.
That's a monster.
Now,
so when you have two heads in a family, you don't have a marriage, you have a monster.
You have a monster.
Interesting.
So family leadership being the first organization. And I'm a marriage therapist. Did I tell you that?
You didn't.
You asked me to. So I'm a family therapist. I'm a marriage counselor, but I'm also a parenting coach.
Yes.
Now, when we talk about family, there is a structure. There is an invisible structure there. It's not in any constitution. But it was determined by the Creator. And some of you who read scripture, you know that it's there. God said, this is the head, submit to headship. And then that speaks to the family structure that is led and guided by the head.
Yes.
Who is the man that you're trying to, that we are talking about, to equip on this program. So family leadership is about providing strategic direction for a family, helping them to work towards a certain goal.
Yes.
And I've heard you and other people talk about how a family should have a goal. Like, what are you up to? A family should have a culture.
Yes.
A family
should have values.
They should have
what
values.
What is the standard of lifestyle in this family?
Exactly.
What guides our relationships?
Exactly. So that is a structure. When you talk, it's a government. So when we say a family, that's a government.
Yes.
Now, as a family therapist, some people who have been my clients, I keep talking about this. I said there is a family leadership structure that has to be respected.
Yes.
So every time that leadership structure is not followed or violated, then that's why we have so much conflict. And speaking of which, we live in times where people are asking, is this thing necessary? Is a man necessary? There is a family structure. I can also be a leader. What do you mean? And so there is a certain structure that is there and headed and led by the president, called a father or a dad or a husband.
Okay. So therefore, when we talk of family leadership, we are looking at this man in the home, the father who is the president of this government at home, who presides over the affairs of the home, providing strategic direction to the members of this home so that together they can go to a certain future that they have agreed upon.
Exactly.
Yes.
However, I'm sure so when we're talking about strengthening the man, and definitely when we talk about a family, we also have to be mindful that families now take different shapes. And
that's true. That's true.
We have to.
That's true.
We'll talk about this in a while.
Yes, at a little.
Yeah. So we have families headed by different people. Some of them are single mothers for whatever reason.
Others are headed by children.
Others are headed by children.
And sometimes they are headed by children when the fathers are still available.
Exactly, and I'm sure we'll address that. But just to make it very clear to viewers that we are mindful of that, but most importantly to know that whenever we see, for instance, a family headed by a child, do we consider that a normal situation?
I don't think so.
No, we don't.
Yes.
When we say a family headed by a mom only, I just also want to politely say it's not normal. There's something about it, because this does not fit in God's structure for family.
All right.
But however, for whatever reasons, we have those families.
Yes,
I just want to acknowledge
absolutely
them.
Thank you very much for that. So let's begin from the bigger picture before we get down to the specifics.
Sure.
Today, yes, we are talking about the power of a dad's presence in the child. But let's get from the bigger picture. What are some of the things that a woman yearns desperately to see in the father of her children?
All right, so
now that I have a lady in the studio today, I'll ask all those kinds of questions from the ladies' side. I want us to understand them.
Now, absolutely, Sam. And I'll speak as in so many capacities.
Please do.
As a therapist, as I'm already family therapist or counselor.
Yes.
I'll also speak as a parenting coach, but I'll also speak as a woman.
I'm looking forward much more to that than even
and
the
as
first
a mother,
two.
as a mother. So you're asking that.
What does Evas yearn to see in the father of her children?
Right. So the father, some of the things I've heard someone say, which nature has already given to us, right? Because now sometimes we see things happen and now we are trying to fight some of the things, but there are certain things that there's a framework God gave to us that you don't have to make it up, that you naturally yearn. I'm answering your question, by the way.
Okay.
You naturally yearn to see a father of your children do. Number one is active engagement. Active engagement of a dad in the life of a child, right from right from pregnancy. I know here we have several very interesting cultures where after some people don't want to be seen with their wives, they will not touch them. But
are you talking about PDA, public display of affection?
Well, even private, I'm sure.
Oh, even private.
Even private.
Wait a moment.
Yeah, PDA as well, but even private. But I just wanted to emphasize the fact that right from the time a mother is expecting. Very interesting. You have seen husbands who rub their wives. That's very powerful. So as a psychologist, I'm a psychologist. So as a psychologist, that's very powerful. That's powerful. So the husband touching, rubbing the tummy of the, that's physical touch. And as a psychologist, I'll tell you, it releases a hormone called oxytocin.
Yes.
Oxytocin is a happiness hormone.
Yes, it is.
Which strengthens bonding. So when a father does that, I'm talking about positive, active engagement of a dad. So
not when he touches that tummy to slap.
No.
But to massage and
massage and really, that kind of thing.
Yes.
It's very powerful. So as a mental health person, I've always told people, life is in seemingly small, little, tiny, silly things, but
so this oxytocin that you have called a happiness hormone that increases bonding. Now I am curious, especially on behalf of the fathers. I am curious. Now it increases bonding and attachment to who?
Both. So when the mother is happy, even that gets onto a child. Now some you guys never get pregnant, but some of us who have been pregnant,
we feed it when you're pregnant.
When a child is playing and jumping and all that, there's so much psychology in there. And so we encourage that a father's positive engagement begins there.
Yes.
There.
Yes.
Then when
hey, before you sleep tonight, you know where to begin from.
Yeah.
Before you sleep tonight, dear gentleman watching, you already have an action point.
Yeah.
Just do that.
Just that.
Active engagement. Number two.
Active engagement. And of course, active engagement goes through the whole, it begins there and it continues in the life of a child. As the child is born, you've heard about dads going to the labor room.
Yes, I've been there myself.
Powerful. That's
I've
really
been there
powerful.
myself.
My husband has been there.
And I don't know why the midwife was sending me out.
Yeah,
She was
so-
sending me out and I refused. I stayed.
Yeah, so that's one of the problems. It's lack of information, lack of
Okay.
understanding.
Okay.
I'm clever enough not to call it ignorance.
Yeah.
But yeah, so right from there,
Yes.
right from there, get involved. Let the child see you participate in the nurturing and all that. And in a short while, I'll be telling you the most important part of a child's modeling
Okay.
and development
All right.
is just what you show them,
Okay.
not what you say. And so when a dad is involved in the life of a child like that, it's important. So that's positive engagement. Number
Yes.
2 is about decision making. Very important, and I'm mentioning this before we get deep into the program, for dads out there and moms especially, to know that because sometimes we hijack the decision-making process,
Yes.
moms, and we say, I'm the one making this. But what a woman desires, or a wife desires to see a man is to make decisions.
A man who makes
decisions.
especially decisions that benefit the
benefit
family.
the family.
Decisions for the good of all the members of the family.
Exactly.
Not selfish decisions.
Exactly, not selfish decisions. And then definitely when you talk about decision making, it ties into the third one. It is that kind of leadership, strategic direction for a family which provides cover to the wife and to the children. There's nothing as beautiful as having a responsible husband,
Yes.
who we submit to. You know, you feel covered, you feel protected. So I would probably give you those three.
All right, powerful.
And tell you that's what any woman
Yes.
would look forward to have a cover over responsible.
Awesome.
man.
So, some of the things that women yearn to see in the father of their children: active engagement
Yeah.
in the child's life, a father who makes decisions,
Yeah.
especially positive decisions
Yeah.
for the good of
Yeah.
the family,
Yeah.
and offering a man who offers strategic direction for the family,
Right.
so that they should feel they are covered with security, safety, and
Sure,
protection
sure.
of a man who wishes all of them well.
I could give you a fourth one, and which is really very powerful.
Yes.
A man who takes responsibility. So again, it is, you would say, isn't that a positive engagement? No, it is responsibility. So like the protection of a man in a family is something we cannot even overemphasize. So when a woman is under the leadership of a responsible man who takes decisions but owns up to certain things, doesn't run away,
Yes.
is there, that's what every woman yearns for.
Awesome. I've taken notes.
Sure.
I'm going to make my revision.
Absolutely.
I will
Go
do
ahead.
better.
Go ahead, go ahead.
So, connected to this, what does a dad's presence, therefore, practically look like on a day-to-day basis? When we say it, because the topic is the power of a dad's presence. So, how does that presence look like?
Okay. So it pretty much what I've already talked about. So what does a dad's presence look like?
Yes.
So a dad's presence, and just reminds me of another powerful statement they make, that we are seeing it again from psychology, that all the problems we have in the world are either a result of a dad's absence or silence.
Absence or silence?
Or silence, or both. So that leads me to answer your question. How does a dad's presence look like?
Yes. Or practically on a day-to-day basis.
On a day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
How
What
does it
do you look
like?
at and you say this dad is present?
Yeah. So it's very important to understand from this conversation that when we talk about dad's presence, we're not just talking about just being there. However, just being there is powerful enough. It is actually, and I'm emphasizing this because there are so many families where, and again as a family therapist, speak to so many people and you hear statements of, he's just there. He's just
there. We just see trousers seated in the chair.
Okay.
He's just there.
Now that's a starting point. That's a very big starting point, that he is there.
So just being there is something to appreciate also.
Yes, I don't want to say it's good enough.
Of course.
But it's something to appreciate big time.
Because it's foundational. If he is not there physically, then all other things that we are expecting won't come through.
Absolutely. I want to tell you that children seeing their dad in the house is powerful. Powerful. Now, that's a starting point.
Yeah.
So I'm going to add on. So, when we talk about a dad's presence, we are talking about, in addition to being there, we're talking about paternal involvement. Now, you've heard of involved dads.
Yes.
So that's what we are talking about. When we say a dad's presence, we're talking about an involved dad. And I don't want to repeat what I've already said, but just let me just touch on a few things.
Yes.
An involved dad, now, an involved dad has to display behavior that is positive in the life of a child. So you're asking about day to day.
Yes, how it looks like.
How it looks like.
Yeah,
so your behavior, dads who are watching, just your behavior without saying a word. Your behavior, what a child watches, is very important.
Yeah, they say children do not have ears, they have eyes.
And I'll speak to you as a psychologist that 80% of what a child turns out to be is learned through modeled behavior.
That's scary.
It should scare you.
That's scary.
That's why
Evas.
I came here this evening.
80%.
80%.
What they observe.
What they observe.
Yet we focus a lot on what to tell them.
No, don't tell.
Hey, don't do that. Do this. Go there. And we feel that that's what is going to produce the greatest results.
No, so 80% of what a child learns is modeled behavior. So we have to be very careful as a dad and as a mom. Can I smuggle in moms?
Please, of course.
Yeah, as a mom and as a dad, be careful what your children are watching. Because 80% of what they turn out to be, or what behavior they adopt, is actually what they've seen you do or say.
So part of presence is not only paternal involvement, but modeled behavior on a day-to-day basis.
And that's why I told you, that's why I'm bringing it in to be a part of paternal involvement or dad involved dads. When we say a father's presence, so your presence should be positive. You see, just being there in the family, before you say anything, you should be deliberate about what children are watching, what they are seeing you do, how they see you treat people, what they hear you say. That is very, very important. Now, I love the quote by a certain psychologist called John Doe. I forget the other name. But he said the best way to change the world is to live in front of our children the way we would want the world to be.
Wow.
The way we would want the world to look like. That's the best way to change the world.
Indeed.
So it just speaks, it glorifies what I'm telling you, that modeled behavior is 80% of the behavior a child learns.
Monkey see, monkey do.
Yeah, that's the thing. So I always, on this point, I always challenge us parents that you should be very careful what your children see you do. And therefore, I ask you a question. If your child turned out exactly the way you behave before them, would you be proud of them? So think about your behavior and check what your children are seeing.
There we are.
All right. So in addition to that, those are the things I talked about.
Powerful.
Being active, participating in stimulating the child, and I should also tell you that a child's brain development is 75% stimulation and play.
Yes.
Right? Not food. Yeah?
Nutrition.
Not nutrition.
Yes.
Nutrition is only 25%. But let me talk about 75%. And 75%, so when we talk about cognitive abilities,
Yes.
the brain, the thinking, the whatever, reasoning and all that, and so when we are stimulating a child's brain to grow
Yes.
and mature, there are certain activities we play. So we hold the child, we bond. Very, very important. And I know very many dads would want to bond with their children. But how do you bond when you're not participating in making them laugh,
Yes.
going out with them?
How do you bond by remote?
How do you bond by remote? and we are desperate to bond with them.
Yes.
But I want to tell you the best way is to be in their lives, in their day-to-day. Attend their meetings, go to school, know their teachers, call them little names, and just do all the silly things that men think are so small,
Yes.
but are very, very important and
Yes.
powerful.
And now that you've talked about knowing what happens at their school, I want us to pause a little bit and just do a very small quick quiz. Right now, where you are as a gentleman, get a notebook. Quickly, get a notebook, get a pen. I want you and I to do a quick quiz right now. Are you ready? I want you to answer the following questions as quickly as possible. I want you to quickly write down answers. So, question number 1. What is the birthday of your firstborn? Right. Question number 2. What's the name of your child's teacher?
I know.
Write the answer, write down. I'm giving marks today. Question number 3. In which class are your children? So if you have 3 children, you write their class. Write down their class. Question number 4. What was your child's school performance last term or last semester? Write down the answer. Question number 5. What is your daughter's best color? Don't ask her. Just write down the answer. Question number 6. What is your son's favorite dish? Which food does your son like most? Why are you just looking at me? Get the pen and write the answer. Question number 7. What is your child currently studying at school? Question number 8. What are your children's favorite games? Don't give up on the exercise. Keep moving. Keep going. Question number 9. Who is your child's best friend? So each of your children, who is the best friend of your children? Write down the names right now. Question number 10. What is the current age of your son? Write down the answer. Second last, what do your children hate to do? What do they dislike? I can see your son is now peeping to see whether you're writing or not. And question number 12, what is one of your child's most pressing challenge that they are going through at the moment? Now, if you found yourself not able to answer at least 8 of these questions, if there were like 5 questions you couldn't answer, then you better pay even the closest attention to the next lap of this program. Before we take a break, I want us to briefly talk about this. What makes the presence of a dad that important? Just in a minute.
Yeah.
What makes it really important?
Very important question that I won't answer in a minute, Sam, because I think this is so important for viewers to understand and the core of all the conversation we are having. Yeah. Now, when we talk about what makes the presence of a father important, it just takes me back to some of the statements I've heard these days and what is going on in society. People are asking, do I even need a dad?
Yeah.
If you look
I just need a sperm, not a dad.
You understand? And that's why we are having growing numbers of single parenthood.
Yes.
Big time. And I say this observing all the sensitivities, but let me talk about it.
Please.
Because when we talk about this, and when I was coming in, I just thought I would emphasize the fact that we are talking about the unique role of dads.
Yes.
Of dads in families.
Not the general role of parents.
Not the general role of parents.
But the unique role of a dad.
Of a dad. Because there's so many people challenging this and saying, we don't need men. As long as you can take care of your children. That's not, be careful. So let me talk about the unique role of a dad. And I'm on record, I've made a statement that it takes a dad, a man and a woman to make a child.
Yes.
But then what makes people think that then raising a child, you don't need a man?
It doesn't take both a man and a woman.
It doesn't take a man. So I want to start it off there and say, a man's role in a child's life, it cannot be replaced by anything.
Okay.
And
not even the TV.
Nothing. It can't be replaced by anything. Because, and I say this passionately, because once again, I've talked about the growing numbers of single parents.
Yes.
And I'm aware that some of the single moms are single moms circumstantially.
Definitely.
But then there is an attitude going on, especially amongst the younger generation.
Yes.
They're asking, if I have money, why do I need a man?
As if a man is an ATM machine, a bank.
Every single day, I witness or support a couple where someone is asking, I don't think I need a man. My children, I can take care of them. So let me talk about the important role.
Yes, what makes the presence of a dad important?
The presence of a dad in a home or in the life of a child means so many things, but I pulled out a few. A dad is a symbol of authority. And when I say this, I love to use an example that people relate with. I have 5 children with poor appetites right from when they were little. So someone who has children with poor appetite, where you have to buy food and then sing for the children to eat. But every time you're begging this child to eat, and you say, please eat, I'm going to call daddy. Daddy? I don't know how many of us have witnessed how a child responds.
Could it be because they fear dads, because dads maybe are violent towards them, they fear being beaten?
Nothing.
Or it's something different?
It's something totally different.
Talk about it.
So that's why I'm talking about the symbol of authority. So a dad in a home, as I told you, that just by being there, without even saying a word, there is authority.
There is some difference made.
There is a difference made. Subject to so much conversation, but I just want to keep it there. Number 2, leadership. A dad in a home brings in a very important aspect of leadership. Now, I want to tell you that children in a family, they are invisibly submitting to an authority, to a leader who is daddy. Now, again, I'm mindful of families led by women.
All right.
But I want to tell you, there is a huge contribution made by men in terms of leadership. Leadership. So a child knows that daddy is the leader.
Instinctively, in a way.
It's instinctive. That's why I told you there are certain things nature has already given to us. So we don't have to reason them and be so clever and speak all the English we can. So that is very important. I've talked about authority. Very powerful.
Symbol of authority, epitome of leadership.
Epitome of leadership, but also an aspect of obedience. You see, obedience, once again, dads bring in this important aspect of obedience. So it can be tied to authority, but obedience is a very important aspect that unique that dads bring into.
So could that be the reason why, as research has shown,
Yeah.
majority of the children raised by single moms end up not having good discipline?
That's the thing. So that's the reason.
Because there wasn't this trigger of obedience in the home.
Absolutely. So that's exactly what it is. And research is also showing that people who have grown up in single family who have been raised by moms
Yes.
only, they even have challenges in the workplace.
Yes.
Because they don't know how to submit to leadership and to authority. So that's the unique big contribution that
Yes.
is brought. I remember I was talking to a group of families last year, and a certain lady insisted and said, I don't believe that because we are also seen as leaders. I said, no, a mom is seen as a nurturer.
Yes.
Moms, we bring in this very important contribution of nurturing the details of a human being.
Yes.
We nurture compassion. This is not a man's...
You nurture love.
We nurture love.
You nurture care.
We nurture care.
Yes.
We nurture conscience.
You nurture empathy.
We nurture empathy. We nurture humility.
You nurture peace.
We nurture peace and
Yes.
honesty.
Yes.
So we go in and do... Is that software? Or I don't know what that means. How we can...
In a way.
Yeah.
In a way.
So those details, that's an important role of a mom.
Yes.
Now, when people ask, well, so what do you mean? Also, we can do... You can, but you can... That's not what you're hardwired
So
to
once
do.
that software is put in place by an available nurturing mom,
Yeah.
then the dad comes in to install the hardware. So where the mom was nurturing the care, the love, the compassion, the empathy, the dad now comes in to train the responsibility, to train the character.
Exactly.
Yes.
So then the dad brings in that higher level contribution of submitting to authority, of obedience,
Yes.
of leadership,
Big picture of life.
courage,
Yes.
of protection. You know, aspects like confidence. This is psychology, once again, viewers, that an aspect like courage and confidence, you know, the self-confidence, self-esteem we talk about.
Yes.
This is a big contribution made by dads. Actually, research shows that children who didn't have a father in their lives, they really lack confidence.
Yes.
They lack confidence.
They struggle.
Insecurity. You know, when a child, again, a dad brings in an aspect of protection and security. And again, when I was coming, I was thinking about, can I give an example from my own life? Like,
yeah, of course.
Whenever my husband is not around, whenever he travels,
Yes.
or for one reason he's not in the home, then we check. We check up there. Is the gate closed?
You ensure the windows are well closed.
The windows are well
the doors are closed.
Then we put security lights that we don't put all the
When
time.
he's around.
But when he's around, no one thinks about... I don't even think about the gate. I don't
Yes.
think about it.
Yes.
He's there.
Even if he himself doesn't check
Even
anything
if he
before you go to
doesn't check,
sleep.
He's
He's
my
a symbol of protection,
protection
security, and safety.
and safety.
We need to take